In Bahia, I don't know. I know they have carnival. I mean, but it's
Okay.
all throughout Brazil. But um, a lot of the music and like the black people of Brazil are in
Hmm.
Bahia area, and so I went there and I just felt connected. So I am on like a quest to like just connect with things that I'm naturally drawn to. Like my
Hmm.
next trip, hopefully, it will be Ghana, just to go there and kind of like explore and see and figure things out. But yeah, I'm on a quest. I'm on a path.
Mental Health Monday.
On mental health
My
Monday.
name is Twaun. I'm a yoga instructor slash healer here in the DMV, DC area specifically, and I'm trained in comedic yoga. Also teach 26 and 2 hot yoga, as well as able to lead vinyasa flow. For me, I believe in creating community for specifically people of color to feel safe and seen, and also to feel like wellness is for them and a part of them. And I love working with specifically men so that they can know that they can be also in a space that is safe, but that so they don't feel too outside of themselves and they can be around other men like themselves or like-minded men who make them feel as if there's community and that they can be vulnerable and seen in those in those communities as well.
Okay, well,
I don't know if that works.
my name's Juice Jones. I'm an advocate for Get Home Safe. This is another episode of Mental Health Monday. Welcome back, homies. Got my boy Twaun here. Great name, by the way.
Oh,
Say
thank you.
yoga by Twaun. I say, oh, it flows so well.
Yeah, I'll tell you so too.
So, how do you go about creating spaces of vulnerability?
So I work with a group of men. It's two of us, well, three of us, is myself, another guy, he's a mental health specialist, and another guy who's a wellness curator. And so we built this group called Healing Us by Us, and we had our first event last month. So we wanted to create, I had the idea for myself, specifically for myself, to create yoga classes and mental health for men of color. And I was
Okay.
like, I don't know how to do this. This was around like February, March. And I was talking to a friend about it. And I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do this. I need to do this thing. And he was like, I have a friend that I'm gonna introduce you to. And then he introduced me to Monroe. And Monroe worked together on the Healing Us by Us. And then Monroe knew Joe. So we came together. All of us had this idea, but we were better together. And glad that I waited and was patient, so all of us are better together. And we had our first event. And to be honest with you, it was like one of the most beautiful things ever for me. It was my first time. It was specifically for Black queer men, and it was the first time that I cried after leading a session, and other men were crying, and it was a very spiritual, beautiful, and emotional. So that's one of the things I was like, I am on the right path because this feels different than just teaching a yoga class.
Okay.
But yeah, that's how I
beautiful.
create spaces of vulnerability and for people to be seen.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Oh, I love stories like this. Okay, so with the two folks that you work with, one, what does it mean to be a mental health specialist?
I'm not the mental health specialist.
Yeah, but you work with one. So from
Oh,
what
right,
you've
right.
seen,
Well, he does the work daily. That's his like career. But I think for him, like a lot of times the way I think about things are totally different than how he thinks about it. And he slows down and he listens to every aspect and kind of like, oh, this makes sense because of this. So when we're developing events, literally I just have to focus on the yoga, and we try to come up with topics and ideas of things we're going to discuss. But he's able to say, oh no, this needs to go like this because it makes sense to like shorten it and make it appropriate for that. So he just slows down and kind of like thinks about it from like a perspective of like different scenarios, different mindsets.
so when it comes to your work being service within the community, what is your focus?
My focus is specifically people of color, and if I could be more specific, Black people, because I cannot remember growing up and being like, I'm going to yoga. I want to yoga with these niggas to hang out and do yoga. I've never heard anyone say that when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are comedians like that, because I know someone who, Royce, who I mentioned earlier, I think he started practicing when he was like 10 years old. That was great for him, lucky to be able to have that. But
Yeah.
ideally, most people just didn't have it. And I remember back in the day when Russell Simmons started doing yoga and people were like, oh, this nigga doing yoga, like, what the fuck? Like, it was kind of like weird. And now that I do it, I'm like, he's dope as fuck. Like, what are you talking about? So, yeah, it's just important to I don't know, like if there's a little black boy who looks like me out there, I want him to say, oh, I could do that because that man is doing yoga, and what is this about? It at least will pique the interest in their head. Where I didn't have an example growing up of seeing someone do yoga and being a part of wellness. I remember when I was in the military, I came home and I had lost some weight because growing up, I didn't eat a healthy diet. My dad bought sodas all the time, all that kind of stuff. And I was in marching band. I wasn't active as I need to be, I guess.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, marching band be putting in work though, but I got you.
yeah, but it's still, I was eating a lot of like just crappy foods. And I didn't know anything about health and wellness.
Yeah.
And so, I remember I came home and I was like, why didn't y'all like tell me to like go on a diet when I was younger, like help me like do. He's like, oh, you were happy. And I'm like, what? Like that's, so, but I grew up in an era where, I don't know if either you were like, if you're chubby, you're just chubby. Like, no one ever really thought about it. Maybe some families did. For mine, it wasn't like a big deal to be like, oh, you're just gaining weight or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just want to be able to like, I think wellness is so important, especially for communities of color, because we have so many emphasis on negative things.
Yeah.
So why not have emphasis on negative and positive? Let's have a balance on like, if you want to go out and like go to the club every night, why not take a class on Sunday morning, just like help cleanse your system, help get your body back balanced. And you can still go out after that and have a cocktail, mimosa, whatever you want to do. There are classes that provide that together, but like I just believe in taking a moment just for yourself and like centering yourself.
Okay. What does it mean to be a wellness curator? I think you said that was the other job. Yeah. What does it mean to be a wellness curator?
For him specifically, I've asked him this, and I think so. Joe has his journey of like how he came about like helping him get in better shape, things like that. And so for him, he wants to create events as well that evolve around wellness for our community. But at the same time, he is like a leading good example of someone who's like putting in the work every day, going beyond his beliefs and like pushing past like, doubts and things like that. So I think for him, I don't want to speak for him, but I think wellness curation means like creating the spaces, but also being an example of like what he wants to create, and kind of like showing this is what I do. So, like join me, things like that.
Are these people that I need to sit down and interview?
Possibly, yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Just let me know.
Yeah.
All right, so.
And then I'm sorry, I don't know if you know Tristan, but he has.
Yeah, I met Tristan at a Lululemon event a month and a half ago. He did a presentation, and I think he was telling me about. I think he just had a daughter.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a girl dad, super proud, super happy. It was really nice to see that up close.
I'm teaching his class Saturday.
Okay. And you tell him I said what up? Yeah.
So we connected because the yoga community, I love it. It's like I had a friend and she was like, you should meet this guy, Tristan. And I went to one of his classes. I was like, hey, Tristan, like I'm a yoga instructor. And he was like, oh, I will hit you up. I'll try to come to your classes. I'll hit you up. Lo and behold, he had his next event. He was like, I want you to teach this class and lead it. And I was honored because he's been doing this in Chicago and DC. Like I always tell people I started teaching in February and I've grown so much since then. But at the same time, like I feel honored when people like feel comfortable, like you can come into my space that I created because I trust your abilities or your skills to like lead this session. I felt honored just to be called to do that. So yeah, that's how
that's awesome.
Stay connected.
So one thing I'm working on right now, Britt, Told Truth came from Britt originally. Okay. He's always wanted to make a vulnerable space for men, but I'm surrounded by a lot of women, women and men. So I told him like, hey, you can do that for the men and I got you. I know what conversation we need to have. And if I don't have the right convo, I know how to facilitate them telling us what they would like to talk about and we go from there. Because not everything you package is what they want, right? And now I told him we need to make a co-ed space, but it doesn't have to be led by him. Because I know right now his brand is men, making a safe space for men, doing work with the mayor's office and Lululemon. And I was like, look, that's fine, but like I, as the person who's been the mental health advocate, I have a lot to say and I know the spaces need to hear this, but I also want to hear from the community. And outside of like what I do on social media, putting myself out there to have these talks and hear the opinions and get those recorded, I get to sit down and listen to what people are saying and what they would like. And then we get to build further community instead of just assuming the community doesn't have this, we need to give this to them. And then sometimes the community's like, my plate's not built for that, buddy.
Right.
So right now, The guy whose interview actually just dropped yesterday, AJ, right now we're going to facilitate making a co-ed space for men and women when it comes to doing the yoga classes and having a mental health talk. And I would like to normalize, I've always tried to normalize mental health and wellness and bringing it together after doing this for years. But between COVID, that was a big one, right when we started, because we had like a lot of momentum and we did like a lot of events in DC, but like I've always been of the mindset that like, you don't got to worry, I can end that.
Okay.
I've always been of the mindset that I don't want us to be the most popular thing. Popularity has a limit. It doesn't have a limit on its reach, but it does have a limit on people want that because it's popular. I would like to be the most impactful thing. And sometimes being impactful means that you don't get to be the most popular thing when you first start, but it's the most necessary.
Same.
Impact means that people think about you years later and they look back and they say, hey, I'd like for you to talk to our kids. I'd like for you to attend classes. I'd like for you to do work. I've been offered by 3 schools in DC to come in and do a couple of mental health classes, building rapport with students. And what I tell them is like, you know, outside of the budget, I do want to bring other people that I'm working with because I think the same as you when I want there to be a little boy who's black that sees someone like you and says, oh, I can do that. That's for me. I want there to be a little girl that says, oh my God, I could do that. This is someone I could follow and look up to and maybe mentor and ask questions to. I want the kids that come after us to understand, oh, the adults aren't going to get this right.
One thing you said that, you know, people say representation matters. It really does.
Yeah.
Like, because say if your dad, like, say you come from a community that doesn't have a lot of funding or money or resources, and say, like, your dad works for the city doing trash pickup or transportation or something, and that's all you know, and then you go to school and you see this man who comes there and he talks about mental health, or he's like, oh, stretch your arms out like to this, and you want to do like this, and you're like, wait, my dad doesn't do that. Like, okay, so how can he do that? Like, what is that? And you may not want to do that, but it opens up this idea, especially for me, that says, oh, I can do something different because he's doing something different, right? And so it reminds me of, like, I remember I was in the military and I was working like an administration job, and one day I saw someone with a camera and they were shooting, and I was like, what is this that you're doing? How can I do that? For a lot of things that I've done in life, that's how I work, like, wait, what is this thing? I need to figure this out. And so, yeah, reputation, like things like that matter because it sparks an interest if it connects to who it's supposed to connect to, I think.
Yeah. And I also feel that we're not the answers. We're the bridge that leads to the answers that helps the next generation that comes after us and also helps the generation before us.
Right.
Like, I had a moment with my mom. It was either last Christmas or the Christmas before. No, it had to be last Christmas because COVID shut that down the year before last. And she was like, you know, I'm too old for like therapy. And I was like, girl, no, your son advocates for this. You're never too old. And then my auntie, who's a nurse, explained to her, you don't need mental health when things are just going wrong. It's also for when things are going right. Like, success is heavy. You get what I'm saying? Like, dealing with success, that change that comes with it, understanding what you would actually like and what you're receiving and handling both those things, that's not easy for everyone across the board. So how have you handled your success when it comes to your wellness journey?
Well, first, I appreciate you for saying it's a success. I would say, I'm still building blocks. That's how I feel. Like I earlier asked, how does it feel becoming from the student to the teacher? For me, I'm always humble because I always feel like there's a little bit more I can learn and do. So I handle it by just like not staying. I gotta say, humble is something that people often say, but I would say staying like hungry. Because if you look at even like rap artists and things like that, or music people, when they're hungry and they want their music is the best, but when you get settled and you're like, sometimes it like falls off, or you just become like monotone, like no impact, no nothing. So I just want to stay some kind of way in that mode. And I'm one of those people, like, I can get bored easily. So like, what's next? How can I create something else or keep it new and fresh so that to me it feeds me as well as the people commenting and like, he does that same thing all the time and I'm sick of it. You know, so so for me, I just handle it by just always trying to improve or just build upon what I have and keep it consistent, but also creating like something new and keep it going so that for myself it feels fresh, and then for others they gain something from. If you come to every class, you're like, you will gain something else. You're like, oh, this isn't always the same.
Okay. Where can the people find you?
Oh, on my Instagram is on Instagram, Yoga by Twaun, Yoga BYTWAUN, and on TikTok the same, Yoga by Twaun. That's where you can find me. My link tree is attached here as well, is Yoga by Twaun, and right now consistently throughout the week I teach a Monday night 5:30 p.m. Bikram 26 and 2 class at Hot Yoga Capitol Hill, and that's 90 minutes. And then I teach Thursday mornings, a free class for the community at Alethea Tanner Park. It's at 6:30 a.m. And then those are my consistent weekly classes. I think that's it. And then I'm always working with others or curating my own events. So if you just watch out for my social media, then you can see like all the different classes and things that I have.
Would you ever start a YouTube channel?
I've thought about it because my yoga is changing. So two things. So when I first started doing yoga, I do like the Neo Soul, this event that I've been curating for like the past few months. And I was like, I love it because I love Neo Soul music. But spiritually, my yoga's changing. Now I enjoy listening to like black classical music or like black jazz, like new age jazz, harp. There's a Brandy Younger, she's a harpist. And then we have like Robert Glasper, you have Pharoah Sanders, people like this who are like, just play beautiful music. I don't want any words. I just want you to feel it. Like I started classes with lift every voice and sing on a harp. And every time I play it, somebody's like, that was so beautiful. And it is beautiful because it's for us. It's our national anthem. It's our pride, right?
Yeah.
So my yoga's changing in the fact that I'm slowing down. I remember when I first started posting, first of all, posting yoga videos for me is always like, my leg is wrong, but it helps me grow by watching myself and keep going. 'Cause I slow down posting videos, but because I slow down my yoga, it's like now I look and it's just changed. I feel it deeper in a different way. Like I posted a video last week and it just felt much different than anything else I ever posted. So long story short, yes, I would, because I feel like my yoga's changing in a sense. The Instagram or social media format the short format doesn't fit. It needs like longer presentation or like different quality presentation, because this is how I feel on the inside. I want to be able to curate that.
When it comes to someone that has never done Bikram yoga before, what would your 3 pieces of advice be before taking a Bikram yoga class?
Oh, drink lots of water. Expect to be hot as hell. And drink lots of water. Drink more water. Expect to be hot as hell. Bring water with you. And the third piece of advice would be, wear something comfortable. And wear something comfortable.
Okay.
I have a good story about Bikram yoga.
Sure.
So I was telling someone that I don't know if this is when I was just taking it and not teaching it. I like calling it 26 and 2 because a lot of people don't call it Bikram anymore because of the whole scandal thing. But
I saw that documentary.
So I remember I was talking to someone. I was like, oh yeah, I go to Bikram yoga, and they were like, I won't go because there's a big mirror in there and I don't like looking at myself. And to me that hurt, because I remember times when I didn't like looking at myself either. But until you accept yourself, you can be in a relationship all you want, but to be in love with yourself is a different type of love, because you have to first accept all parts of you, and it helps you in your other relationships, right? So they're saying they don't like looking at themselves. Like, that doesn't even matter. Like, literally no one's paying attention to you except yourself. Like, just walk in, be yourself. Last year when I went to Bikram yoga, my stomach was bigger. I was out of shape for myself. But I had to go in that mirror every day and stare in the mirror and say, if you want to change something, you have to stay consistent. And that's what motivated me. So when I heard that person kind of like hurt me, like, I was like, you shouldn't say that about yourself. But that's not for me to, change their mindset. I mean, I can speak words to them, but I can't change it. They have to change their mindset.
And for now, that's their truth.
Right. So, so my thing about 26 and 2 is like, just come with an open mind and just be ready to like dig deep. Like, you might look at yourself in the mirror like, some people come in here like, I suck, I can't do everything. It's like, it's not about that. It's really about like the mental toughness to stay in this room that is hot as hell. Because most people, not everybody, but a lot of people, if you've done some type of yoga, you can do the poses outside of the room.
Yeah.
But that room, I go all the time, and still some days it's just like, I'm not doing this pose because I'm uncomfortable right now. It's hot as fuck.
Yeah, that room's like, I got your number.
Oh, yeah.
The first time I did Bikram yoga, what did you call it?
26 and 2.
26 and 2?
Because it's 26 postures and 2 breathing exercises.
Okay, so 26
or you can say hot yoga.
High yoga.
Yeah.
I like 26 and 2 though.
Okay.
That sounds cool. So the first time I did the 26 and 2 hot yoga, I explained to my friends, this was before I took it, I said, look, sometimes in life, you have certain things where the whole goal is just not to quit. Mm-hmm. And I told them, I was like, you can stop doing yoga. If there's a position you don't have, just don't leave the room. That's all you need to do. If you just have one focus, just don't leave the room.
Okay.
It's going to suck. It's going to be rough. Shit's going to hit the fan. Don't leave the room.
Right.
You'll be better for it by the time you're done. That's it. So when you said that, I said, oh, yeah.
I left the room my first time and a few times after that. Like, there's a guy today who came to one of the class I went to this morning. And he saw me, I was doing all the poses. He was like, oh man, I saw you. And I was like, yeah, just, if someone's in front of you, more likely they know what they're doing. Just watch them, but make sure you're looking at yourself in the mirror, because he was looking away. And he was like, yeah, I saw you. And I was like, believe me, my first class, I walked that as well. Like, no one's judging you. We understand it's hot.
Yeah, and that's another thing though. When it comes to yoga that has the challenge of the temperature, and I'm pretty sure there's probably other forms of yoga that do have like, hey, we throw this in there and the whole goal is just to make it to the end. You would know better than me. That's not my world. That's your world, right? But sometimes what you practice here bleeds over into other things, and you also get to know who you are. You get to realize who you're not, and then you get to format and think of, all right, if I want to become this person or this thing, what do those steps look like, and how much of that do I have in me?
Right. One of my yoga teachers at the Bikram studio, or High Yoga Capitol Hill, she we were talking one day, and we were talking about how different students react to like the heat, and she was talking about how like, oh yeah, you see people kind of clapping, like, oh, they'll be standing, because the warm-up is like 4 different pieces that you do, but as long as like 23 minutes I think it takes. So like, if it's your first time, you're like, hey, what the fuck is this? Because I came to flow. Bikram doesn't flow like that. It's very like, oh,
Yeah.
next asana, next asana. It's very structured. You know what you're gonna do.
Pose, yeah.
So first of all, you're like, what the fuck did I get myself into? But then you're like, oh my god, like you're there, and like I remember my first time getting, like, I'm turning around, like, I'm drinking water, and I remember one of the teachers, she was there. She was like, wait till after the warm up to drink water. I'm like, bitch, is you crazy? Like, it's hot. What are you talking about?
That is good advice, though.
Right. But now, I can stay throughout the whole class. I don't need to drink water. I remember I used to have like 1 frozen, 2 waters. I barely need 1 now. It's because I've kept going. I've trained, and it's really your mind. It's all your mind. But she was talking about how like people will be there and they'll be moving their hands and they'll be doing little things, tapping themselves. She's like, just calm down, just relax, just breathe. You got it. It's really about that. You literally have to talk to yourself and be like, it's okay. You're in the room. You're good. But and I said all that to say, it shows like where your mental is. Like when things are going right in your life, do you spiral out of control, or how do you come back to yourself and not let these thoughts and patterns like overtake yourself?
Yeah, like the gym that I'm working at now. When I was younger, I used to break out in like a lot of really bad like rashes, especially from the heat, right? And I did pro tryouts from like 2011 till about 2017 for a couple of NFL teams and like other stuff. And I realized in my journey, you only become as great as the messed up things you put yourself through. So like, got a new gym membership in the beginning of May, stuck with it to this point. There hasn't been 1 week that I didn't go to the gym. And like everyone sees me come in there in like sweats, hoodie, layers, leaving out drenched, chilling in the sauna after, fully clothed. And they're like, yo, and I'm like, yeah, but like the results, you're only gonna get what you put in. Right. So like when it comes to Bikram yoga, or you said 26-2?
26 and 2. 26
and 2. When it comes to 26 and 2 yoga, I think about that, and like stuff like that excites me. Not because of the pain, but because like, look, the pain comes first, but the results always show up.
Yeah, I have a personal trainer now. I go twice a week, and
Oh, it's fine. We got this camera.
Oh.
This camera's on you. Yeah.
So how do you look this way?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, look that way. Yeah.
So I have a personal trainer now. We were talking, and I was working out, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna paper towel to wipe your head." And I was like, I like sweating when I'm working out. It's just something about it. Like I think because we used to be in a hot room. To me, I'm just like, oh, it's okay. I don't need to wipe my head. I'm good. So he'd be like,
here.
yeah,
I'm good.
Because he would be
Gucci.
like, take a break, and I'm like, I'm okay.
No, I am the break, man. I'm Gucci.
But hot yoga really helped build my stamina. Where I mean, things may be tough. I'm like, I keep going. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you know, that part of yourself learns to love you back too, because you realize like, oh, it was always there. It just needed a reason to come out. And it's just much easier. And honestly, people need to see more black faces in the wellness space. So when you followed me, which was awesome, I was like, oh, he black, let me follow him back. All right, cool. Right? And then after that, like, my algorithm doesn't show me much.
Okay.
So when you started popping up like once a week, I said, oh, that's Twaun. Okay, cool. Twice, I said, oh, Twaun. Okay, all right. And then 3 times, I was like, look, I already wanted to sit down because of your presentation on IG, but like, DC is also a weird place.
It is.
You feel what I'm saying? You're not everyone black is gonna be kinfolk. Not everyone that you meet is gonna be nice. And it's like filtering who's good for business. Like a lot of people who have their heart in things aren't really that good at business also. So you got to be careful about who you say yes to, why you say yes to them, who they are, why they aren't. Okay, cool. You went up, you got a little bit taller. You got no space. No, you got no space. You can say however you want. You got no space. I just want to make sure they see you. So this is going to be your personal camera when we do the interview. So if you ever want to talk your shit, say something to somebody, this you right here. Okay. Just point blank period, right? But then I was like, I know right now I'm doing a rack of interviews because I do IT, and right now I have a window of time to do interviews when it comes to mental health, how I'd like people to be framed, what months may be a better fit for them, because you know you got Suicidal Awareness Month in September. I just did an interview with a couple of gay and trans folks who we've done sponsorships when it comes to Get Home Safe, but when I looked at the frame of things, I was like, I don't think the people I've helped are seen and represented in what Get Home Safe is, the makeup on the interview side. So I needed to bring them out because these are people I'm really close with. And now I was like, I gotta get some new wellness folk that you fuck with. Who you fuck with? I said, I fuck with Twaun. All right, send me a DM. But like, all right, what? We're going to start the interview. I'm just letting you know right now. Yeah. Okay. Everything's recorded now, but like, just so you're aware, because I don't want us to have like the whole convo. Like, fam, you let me know he's recording. My bad. I'm sorry. But what got you into the space of yoga and wellness and creating these spaces?
Okay, so one day I was at a yoga class that was at Anacostia Park, Field 7, I think it was, to be exact.
Okay.
And it was by Royce. He's a yoga instructor here as well. And he was hosting a comedic yoga class. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea, but I wanted to try it out. So I went, and I remember sitting in a park, and we were towards the end of class. First of all, I was intrigued by like the type of moves we were doing because I'd never seen comedic yoga, and it just felt different.
What is comedic yoga?
So comedic yoga is based in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. It's a spiritual practice. It's deeply rooted in meditation, so it's a lot slower than other practices. We focus on the energy channel, so like connecting the roof of your tongue to the roof of your mouth, connect the energy channels, and it's basically. It was created by Yasser Rahotep. He's from Chicago. And he went to Egypt. He studied all the tombs and different things throughout Egypt. And he felt connected. And he saw certain poses or hieroglyphics on the walls that he said, oh, these people are doing yoga. Him and another professor, I can't remember his name exactly right now. So he's like, these people are doing yoga, so he just started building a practice from there. He's already practicing yoga, and he knew all like the other methods, but he decided to create his own type of yoga, and this was like in the 1970s, I want to say.
So it has some good history behind it.
Yeah, it does. And so he been working for years. He still practices. I studied under him, and so he created this system, and the system basically is rooted in, again, meditation, deep breathing, and geometric postures based off the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics and shapes and movement.
Okay. What's your history?
What do you mean?
Like, I'm not asking you if you're black. I'm asking, I feel like you're someone who, like, I use history to figure out where I may need to go or what life has in store for me.
Yeah, definitely. I'm learning throughout life now just to trust my intuition because it's been like guiding me in a lot of great ways. Before I didn't trust it so much. I relied on looking to others for guidance or assistance or confirmation. And confirmation, if something comes to you, I believe if it comes to you, it's meant for you.
Okay.
And if you see someone else doing it, you can't get mad because you're like, I was thinking of that. It's like, God gives everybody ideas. So either you're going to follow through or you're just going to, it's going to disperse. But so the energy is going to be used in some type of way, right? So for me, I've lived abroad. I lived in different countries and I traveled a lot. And for me, I'm on the journey or a quest to really figure out because when people ask me a lot of times, it's like, oh, where are you from? Like, what's your history? And like, all I know is Georgia. And I grew up in Florida. And so all I know, that's all I know. I don't know anything past that. So I wouldn't make up a story and be like, oh, I'm Nigerian or something like that.
Yeah.
But I am called to certain places. Like recently I went to Bahia. It's the black area of Brazil. And I went there and I felt very connected to music, the art, the culture.
Is that the place that they have the big celebration that's like a month long or something like that?
In Bahia, I don't know. I know they have carnival. I mean, but it's all throughout Brazil. But a lot of the music and like the black people of Brazil are in Bahia area. And so I went there and I just felt connected. So I am on like a quest to like just connect with things that I'm naturally drawn to. Like my next trip, hopefully, it will be Ghana, just to go there and kind of like explore and, you know, see and figure things out. But yeah, I'm on a quest. I'm on a path.
Okay.
A journey.
What's the importance of traveling?
For me, the importance of traveling is always learning. And it teaches you about not to rely on what you know, but to step outside of yourself and try to understand someone else's perspective. For example, I lived in Korea twice. I lived in Germany. I lived in Kuwait. And like I said, I've been to other countries.
Korea twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been to other countries. But the thing about it is that a lot of Americans, we have this idea, if you never travel, like, I want America in Germany. I want America in Korea. I want this. And yes, the world caters kind of like to America because we're a huge capitalist society.
Yeah.
However, you're going to be in instances where this is for Germans or this is for Koreans or this is for whoever, and it doesn't cater to you and your culture. So how do you adapt to that? You know, how do you maneuver and you don't know the language and no one around you knows English? So how do you adapt to that? So it's taught me so many things about like being able to just kind of like figure out my surroundings, use nonverbal communication, and just respect people and their things. And I don't know, it's been working for me in that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
The question was why is traveling important for me?
Yeah.
So traveling is important for that reason because it teaches me adaptability. It teaches me how to figure things out, problem solving, things like that. But also, it opens your eyes up. It changes how you see color. It changes how you see people. It changes how you interact with food. Like you may bring something back, and I love tea. So I love, like, in Morocco, they have the tea ceremonies and they pour the tea from the top. I do things like that for like my friends and show them like, oh,
have you seen the new Spider-Man?
I haven't yet. No,
Okay.
No.
All right. There's a scene. Actually, no, I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
Are you a fan of Spider-Man?
I've watched it, but I can watch it if I should.
There's a tea part.
Okay.
But it's really funny.
I'll check it out.
So yeah, I'm gonna stop right here. Yeah.
Yeah. So just bringing things back and sharing it with others, and I mean now because of social media, people travel I think a lot more.
Yeah.
But I'm one of those people. I'm going to experience the culture. I'm going to like talk to locals. I'm going to like not just find the Airbnb travel tour. I'm going to like talk to someone and be like, what is this thing that I can go to? Yeah, so that's important. One prime example, when I went to Morocco, I was living in Germany at the time, and I didn't realize this until I came back to Germany. I was in Morocco. You have all these vivid, bright colors. You have indigo, like fresh indigo sitting in, like the pale, and then you have all these other colors and things. And it was so vivid. So I came back to Germany, and I was sad instantly because everything looked gray and flat. And it's like my eyes literally had to adjust because I had been awakened to this color, to this art, and it wasn't available. And then it made me realize, like, a lot of these countries that are capitalist people love so much, like, it's sad. It's like, that's why people are, like, depressed because there's no color, and we feel like luxury is white and da-da-da.
Yeah.
Like, luxury is whatever you make luxury, right? So, yeah, that's why it's important to me.
Have you noticed from traveling that when it comes to art and color, certain cultures try to keep it within a box? I'm really fascinated by this because like I was looking to have a sit down with someone who's well traveled.
Yeah, yeah.
And when like I saw what you saw and you told me what you told me, I was like, I'm gonna have to ask you some travel questions.
Yeah, yeah. I would say yes. So in Korea,
Yeah.
I think they have a beautiful culture and history.
Twice.
So I spent sort of like about 7 years there.
Okay.
So I lived there in my early 20s and then mid 30s. So what was I gonna say? Korea, they have a very colorful past, things like that. But if you look at art, fashion, things like that, they're very fashionable people. But they love muted tones. They love buildings that look European. And it's just like the traditional is so beautiful. Like, why are you preserving this culture? Because it doesn't move into modern society, whatever it is. They want to look very sleek and clean and luxurious.
So is that their culture trying to adapt or conform?
I think so because, because they, technology-wise, they're like very advanced cultures. But I think just like the tradition of things look so much better when you have your own. But yeah, so countries like that I've seen where like the art is very boxed in, but you always have artists who break through and are like doing something different and stepping outside of that. But for the most part, that's an example of a place where I was like, it just never made sense to me, like how the houses are shaped. Like, why do you have modern design when you have all these beautiful history that can be exemplified throughout the city? That's what brings tourists there. And then they have like the old traditional houses just in one area of the city, like one little square part, and you don't really get to see them.
Yeah. All right. So what are the pros and cons of traveling while black?
Pros of traveling while black.
Because I know you probably have to do some deconstruction in terms of how you're viewed and digested when it comes to other cultures.
Right. So the pros that I would say, I'll give you 3 pros. 3 pros while traveling while black is that you won't lack people paying attention to you.
Okay.
And I can go to that.
Yeah.
I mean, there are pros, but specifically while black, I can't, it's hard to think of those.
No, I got you.
So I would say you won't have a lack of attention. I don't know, connecting with other black people who travel.
Okay.
That's always amazing because you can see like a brother from like Nigeria or somewhere else and y'all did a nod and just like keep going. So that's always amazing because it's almost like, I mean, you're a black man, so like when you see somebody else and you do nod, especially if you're traveling, it gives you that feeling of like, it's almost like a communication, like I see you, you see me, yes, understand, da da da. So I love that. And then pro while traveling black, people automatically think or assume that you can dance or sing. So a lot of times you may get pulled like, oh, come with us. Or like people just think you're cool for some reason.
Yeah. All right. So what's
Cons? I've noticed that like black people really aren't safe anywhere. Like there's racism literally everywhere.
Yeah. And
even
it's different forms.
Right. And even in countries like Brazil, which has the largest African population outside of the continent, there's colorism, and then people don't want to be classified as black because of all these other reasons. They won't be classified as black legally, but they will say they're black.
Yeah.
But they won't write it down that they're black. So one con is that black people just don't seem safe all the time. I remember another thing that you may get searched more than others, or you've been watched. So me and my nephew, we were going to Japan. He came to visit me in Korea. We were going to Japan, and everybody else off the plane were gone. And they searched our bags, and we had nothing on us, but they just searched our bags. Every detail, they pulled everything out. And he was like, Uncle, why are they doing this? I was like, it's okay. This is just how they do whatever, but that. And another con of just like sometimes I think people don't think that you have means, or like they're just like, oh, I'm not paying attention to him or something like that. So they just assume that, oh, you're just another black person, like with nothing. So a lot of people have this negative connotation of black people just in general, of movies and media.
How do you protect your inner self when it comes to those experiences? Because I know, to me, wellness is practicing patience and adapting to what life has done to you. That's how I felt about wellness when it comes to yoga and meditation. And when people ask, why do we have wellness and mental health? These things are layered. They're closely related to each other. So when it comes to mental health, you're dealing with what's going on up here. And when it comes to wellness, you're dealing with what's going on in here and how that translates to your body.
Right. What was the question one more time?
How do you protect your spirit?
Okay. I would say because I've done it enough. I don't allow things to get to me as much. I kind of just like, okay, whatever, that's your miss out if you think, you know, whatever. So I don't try to think about it too much. How do I protect? And now anytime I travel, I have a yoga mat with me.
Okay, so that thing's just on you no matter
right,
what.
So every morning I'm doing yoga. I try to find, like, before I go there, I try to look up, where am I staying? Like, is there a gym or like a yoga class I can take or things like that. I try to connect with people who, like on Instagram, maybe they're like, we have some type of relationship, like, hey, I'm traveling to the area, can you give me some tips and stuff? They may not reach back, and then maybe they will, but it's worth a try. But just try to connect with like-minded people and also keep my routine in a sense. So anytime I travel, even if it's up the street, when I say up the street, like even if it's like I'm going to Baltimore for the night, I'm going to have incense with me. I'm going to have like sage with me. I'm going to have like a yoga mat always. And things like that. I need like a piece of things where I could be like, oh, this reminds me of home and this helps center me.
Okay.
But yeah, I keep my practice and my like certain rituals with me regardless.
How many years are you into yoga?
So I've been practicing since 2017 consistently, but not like, on my own mostly. So a lot of things I learned on my own. But last September, I was going through this whole revamp of like my mental health. I started getting back into therapy. It was like a tough time in my life. Okay. So I was getting into therapy, and my therapist was helping me through some things. And then I started hot yoga. I went in July. Yeah. So I went in July of last year, and then I told people I'll be back, and I never went back because I was having like a really tough time, and I was in therapy. And then things were working out, getting better. So I was like, let me try this yoga thing again because I kind of like that. Let me try Bikram. And then so I went and I was hooked. Like I started going every single day. I was there like 2 or 3 times a day. And then it just one day it clicked in me like, oh, you should be teaching this. And then so that clicked for me. And then also during that time I met Royce for comedic yoga. And I was... Oh, so let me go back to that story about comedic yoga. So we're in the field with all these black people, and I look around at one point, I'm like, whatever this is, I want to create this. Like, I love this. And I've told him this story, like, he didn't even know I was going to training. I just popped up. Guys, I took a break off of social media. I was like, I need to work on some things. So one day I popped up and I was at training. I was like, oh, I'm a comedic yoga training, da-da-da. And he was like, oh, I'm so proud of you, da-da-da. And it was just good to hear, like, the support. And then one day, some months later, I was talking to him, and I was like, you know, your class, I told him about that exact moment, and he was like, I'm getting chills. It's like that spiritual connection, it resonated because he knew what I was talking about, and like that what motivated me to get to where I am now. So I did Bikram all the time, but I went and got trained in comedic. But it's May, and I started teaching Bikram as well. So like things have literally just been kind of like happening for me and like growing, and I've been like challenged in ways that I never thought I would be. But I welcome the challenge because I love it. Like it literally feeds me to like be able to do the yoga every day.
What have you learned transitioning from a student into a teacher when it comes to yoga?
Oh, that the student never goes away. Like you should never stop being a student. Unless even when you're a yoga master, I think you still, I don't know what a yoga master, the only yoga master I know is the one who taught me. I'm sure there are others out there, but you should never stop being a student. There's always more to learn. There's always more to grow. One thing I think that has helped me is that, I don't know why I'm doing it.
No, take your time. You're good.
One thing that has helped me is that I try to take different classes, specifically with black people. I go to like their studio or their class they're having here, and it's helped me understand like my style. They kind of like, because at first I remember my first class I taught, and I was just so worried about, I need to remember the sequence. I need to make sure I do this like this and this like this. And now my yoga feels freer. I can make jokes in the middle of class. I can like laugh, or someone can say something to me. I can talk back to them because I always say the yoga's in me. Like I don't need to. I need to be up on my skills and things like that, but I don't need to rehearse because I may go off schedule. Just like in church, like we have a program, but we're gonna go off the program. So sometimes I just have to let spirit lead like that. And so for me, it's just been training others because it helps me grow and get better at my craft, and also it helps me shape what I want my classes to look like because we all learn from each other. So it's not, I won't go to somebody's class and be like, I'm gonna do exactly what they're doing. I'm like, I like that. How can I incorporate that into my practice my students.
Okay, so you let the community pour into you and you pour into the
Yeah,
community.
definitely.
Okay. As a man, what are your concerns when it comes to yoga and the classes that you put together?
What are the concerns? As a man, I don't have concerns about like anything regarding like just being a man.
Yeah.
I always think about like I've heard horror stories of like maybe someone says, "Oh, this person sexual harassed me" or something like that. So usually I try to make it a thing, but sometimes I forget to ask, "Hey, I might do adjustments. If you don't want me to touch you, let me know." Things like that. But I try to just be cautious and just like, watch people, but not like overly like, be touchy-feely or some shit like that. Something like that.
You could curse. It's really fine. Yeah.
So, I just try to just be respectful of everyone. Like I don't really think about that actually that much. I do think about like a lot of times, like I was telling you earlier.
Yeah.
Like I from my perspective, I don't think like when you think of yoga instructor, you like, oh, here come this big tall nigga with goals, like with grill. But when I show up as myself, my authentic self, I have broad shoulders. I'm tall. I'm very dark. But so this is who I am. This is what you get. So I do think about like I used to think about like how people perceive me, but now I don't really care that much. I'm like, this is what it is. That's why I started like wearing my goals all the time, because this is something that the vision was given to me. Like this is how I want to present myself. So this is what I'm gonna do. And people, if it resonates, it resonates, and if it doesn't, then I'm not for you.
So I had a gold grill.
Okay.
And it had the words hope in it.
Is that you on that one?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay,
right
I like
there.
that.
And it had the words hope in it. And the reason I did that is because I realized whether I want to or not, my words were giving people hope and it was making a difference in people's lives. But you still have to keep the main. And the thing is, you keep hope with actions. Actions have to be behind it. Who does it affect? What are you looking to do? Have a reminder of what it is that I'm here trying to accomplish and who we do it for.
Right.
I lost the damn grill. I'm so upset. Right.
Did you put it in a napkin and like thought you like go out to eat or something?
No, I had a box grill that I always put my grill on that had a mold of my teeth.
Right.
And I have no idea where that box was. Where I lived at before we moved, and I figured, all right, in the move, I'm gonna find
it.
No. Never found it. And that's how I knew, like, yo, it's just gone, bro. Like, that's it. So, what do your grills mean for you?
I'm from Florida, and I grew up seeing people with grills, and I was born in '83, so like in the '90s, everybody had grills, and like even in the '80s, I have family members who had permanent gold teeth in their mouth. And then growing up, we're taught through conditioning, this is ghetto, whatever that means. And you shouldn't want to aspire to look and be that way, because you're going to go to college, because you need to go to college. You have to go to college in order to find that job that you have to sit at every day in this office, right? Yeah. So I'm saying all that on purpose. But so you're taught that this is the image because you need to be acceptable to them, right?
Yeah.
But as I got older, I just started setting myself a little bit more, and like I love colors. I just thought like for me it just made sense. The more I evolve, I was like, gold teeth is just like a part of it. It's just the way I listen to music, the way I vibe, the things I like, it just made sense for me. I used to only wear silver jewelry as well, and then because I thought it was more elegant. And then I was like,
I used to love white gold.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, gold looks good on my skin. Like, I want to wear gold. And then so the teeth just came about because it was like, literally a vision was given to me. And I was like, this is how I want to present myself.
So when you have a vision or you have a thought that you can't escape, do you go towards that thought, or do you measure out whether that thought is for you?
I go towards it.
Okay.
But I have, there's one big that I'm supposed to follow in right now. I'm just like, yeah.
Do you not have the resources for it yet?
It's not the resources, it's fear.
Okay.
So whenever I tell people this, they always be like, what are you scared of? And I'm just like, it's fear because it's different. And I'll tell you what it is. It's basically, I want to move out of the country and just travel and just live and just go. Just get rid of everything and just go.
You give me that feeling.
Yeah.
So it surprised me when you tell me what you were shopping before.
Right. So I'm going against my will.
Okay.
But it's going against my will, but also it's future me is thinking, but you need to have something to come back to. But what if I don't come back? You know,
Yeah.
what if I go when that's where I'm supposed to be at?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you have relationships on this side that would take care of it for you until you come back?
Not really. And it's not really something I really want. It's just that I think about like, oh, this might be a smart investment.
Yeah, so you like to prepare for the future if possible.
Yeah,
or the
if
future
possible.
that you think you would like for yourself.
Right, but every day the algorithms and someone is having a video like I moved out of the country and this is the best thing I ever decided.
Yeah.
Or I go to Brazil and the tour guide I had through Airbnb, he actually ended up giving me a tour of this other area. It's called I can't think of the name of it, but like Jacqueline or something like that. But it's an African market basically. It's like a large African market. They have products directly from Africa. And they have their spiritual practice called Candomblé. So they have all the orishas, all the statues. You can shop all that there. Beautiful experience I had. Like, this is not something that he does. He just does it for certain people because he noticed that I connected to spiritually to certain things. So he even had me talk to a Ifa priestess there, and so do a reading and stuff like that. So I forgot my point initially, but
We were talking about what you were shopping for.
Yeah,
someone
yeah,
taking
yeah.
care of it, you leaning more in towards your mission.
right. So I forgot where I was going with all of that, but I do know that I'm going against my will because when I go to places, I connect like with certain things. I've really lost my train of thought all the time.
All right, so you speak on your will quite often, right?
Yeah.
What does your will mean to you exactly? Because most people, when they talk about their will, they talk about their fortitude to dedicate themselves to something and bring it to life. But I feel like for you, you have two wills: what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're fighting against. But you know, eventually I will be there soon.
Right. So this actually helped me stop drinking alcohol.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't want to really drink alcohol, and in my 20s, of course, I had fun drinking and things like that. And then the older guy was like, I don't want to do this, and I was doing it because I was like, oh, I need to connect with people and like socialize, but I was going against my will, right? So in Jamaica in January when I was in training, a girl was there. There's a very spiritual group, so I love that. People, imagine being around people who listen to the same music as you, light incense, do yoga, amazing. Like it was like seeing yourself in different fonts. So anyway, we were sitting down and talking one day, and she was like, "Oh, I don't want to smoke anymore, or whatever." I was like, oh, "Okay, that's cool." I was like, and she was like, "I have strong will, so I know I'm not gonna do this." She didn't do it, and she was like, "If you do your thumb like this, if your thumb bends back, that means you don't have strong will, because some people literally can't." And she was like, "Hers doesn't bend back."
Really?
Yeah, and it didn't. So can you pull it back?
Yeah, I think so.
No, you can't. Like you have pretty strong will. Like mine. So if you see.
I said I think so. My thumb was like, nah. I think not. Yeah. Yeah, I can't. That seems weird to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah. Okay.
So she was like, if your thumb bends back, it might not mean that, but to me, it's just something about what she said that was like, oh shit, it just helped me put a lot of things into like perspective about like having strong will, like standing in who you are. And so it helped me stop drinking because I was like, I don't want to drink anymore, so I'm not going to do it. And it's just funny the small things that resonate with you, right? And so, so the strong will with the drinking, so going against my will, when I say that, I mean that like, God gives me vision, like literally thoughts of like, this is what your life should look like. When I talk to like my therapist, or one time I talked to a life coach, I said, this is what I want my life to look like. I want to live in a country that's beautiful. It's like a jungle, is whatever, and it has mountains, and I want to look at that every day. And then I'm like, but I live in DC. Yeah, like,
All right. Well, this has been another episode of Mental Health Monday. Appreciate my boy Twaun for pulling up. Thank you again.
yeah, thank you.
Great colors, man. You a fashionista. I'd love to see your closet. I know that's a wild place. But like, subscribe, share, and appreciate you homies for pulling up. Peace.